Hi, and welcome back to the Psykhe podcast with me, Hannah. And we're all about helping you prioritize your mental well-being by informing, inspiring, and empowering you to live a joyful, meaningful, and healthy life. And we are really going to focus in on the joy today because our guest for this episode is Joy, the White Peacock Woman. As you'll hear, she has completely made joy the foundation of her life and I guess the lens through which she views the world. So we're really going to get deep into joy and how you can have more joy. And we recorded this episode, I think at the end of February. I'm recording this now, beginning of April, just prior to the episode coming out. And obviously the world has in many ways completely changed since then. So it's really interesting listening back to Joy talking about making the most out of life and not putting things off waiting for the right circumstances, which might never appear, and about just making the most out of life. So I think it's a really important reminder that we can't, as Joy says, we can't take things for granted. We can't take life for granted. And when you listen to the episode, you'll understand more of Joy's experiences in that way. So obviously at the moment it's about staying home, staying safe, but I guess one of the things I'm going to be thinking about is almost like a bucket list of things that I really want to do once we are able to go back outside more freely and to make the most out of my life. And obviously at the moment still the best I can make the most out of things. I'm really excited to introduce this episode, and Joy mentions a video on her website that you can try to help you reduce stress super quickly. I'm going to check in now and tell you where I'm at on a scale of 0 to 100 for stress, and then at the end after the interview I'll check back in and I will have done the activity on Joy's website, so you can get some feedback from me there. At the moment I would say I'm probably about a 50 on the stress scale. I feel fairly chilled, but I've got some stuff in my head about busy things at work happening this week and a lot going on, so I'd say about a 50. Check back in after and see where I am on that scale after I've done Joy's activity. And I really hope you enjoy this episode. I loved recording it. I loved speaking to Joy. She is just so joyful. She is so full of energy and enthusiasm and joie de vivre, as she'll say. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. Hi everyone. I'm super excited to introduce this week's guest, Joy, to the podcast. So Joy, if you could introduce yourself to the listeners and just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you very much, Hannah. I am best known for teaching how to clear stress in 3 minutes or less. And my North American friends dubbed me the wish granter because people bring me their wishes for their health and their happiness. And I give them the tools and the skills to be able to clear themselves of anything that's preventing them from having those wishes and to bring their wishes more quickly to them. I have the best job on the planet. But it was a long road to get here.
Amazing. So first of all, straight away, clearing stress in 3 minutes or less sounds amazing and too good to be true and all of that. So I would love to hear more about that.
No problem. I actually became a world expert on clearing stress in 3 minutes or less after I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 24. The biggest challenge that I had was that anytime I went into stress, the soft tissue would swell at the base of my neck, blood would stop going to my brain, and I would have about 3 minutes before I blacked out. Now, I was blacking out multiple times a day because it was a very stressful time.
Yeah.
And each blackout was causing an oxidative stress wall in my forebrain that meant after a couple of years, I no longer had access to my frontal lobes. So that's why the doctors said I'd be dead or brain dead by the time I was 30. And that's why I became an expert on clearing stress in 3 minutes or less. After they gave up on me, I started studying holistic medicine. I'm certified in more than a dozen different healing modalities. And as I journeyed through each modality, I uncovered these incredible tools and skills that I would have given my eye teeth for as an executive, like how to keep a clear head no matter what's going on, how to clear stress in minutes, how to dissolve emotional trauma painlessly, how to read faces and do all these fantastic things that nobody, unless they had enormous amounts of money and at least a decade, could ever find because they were all squirreled away in these esoteric places. But I was in that position. And so to make everything that happened to me make sense, I took all the best bits from everything that I learned, and that's what I travel the world teaching.
Amazing. And you said there about the when you had periods of stress, about how dangerous it was, and you've died multiple times.
Yes, well, I never knew if I'd wake up from any of the blackouts, and that was a big challenge. But the first time I died, I was 15 years old. I flew off a cliff on a motorbike wearing a full face helmet and a bikini. They never found the bikini top, and the full face was shattered, and I died on the operating table for 2.5 minutes. And doctors wanted to amputate my leg. They said I'd never walk again. I told the doctor I'd not only walk, I'd dance on his grave, and that's how I became a silver medal winning ballroom dancer. So, but it was that injury. See, I smashed up my leg so badly that nobody noticed 13 displaced vertebrae. And that was what caused the problems later on. It took me 7 years to learn to walk again, and then I rocked the corporate world for a couple of years, and then at 24 I was hit by the drunk driver, and that reactivated all of the spinal injuries that caused the brain injuries. Well, additional brain injuries. So basically what I had to learn to do was reprogram the neurological pathways of my brain to bypass the injuries. Because, as I said, after a couple of years of intermittent oxygen deprivation, I could no longer use my frontal lobes, which means I could no longer think forward or remember back. So I had to learn how to think up and look down. So perspective is my superpower. And so I can't do a lot of things that most humans can do. I can do certain things that most humans can't even imagine. So, for example, at 30, instead of being a vegetable, I had co-created Australia's first end-user computing support organisation. I was advising state and federal government. I was the first individual ever to be nominated for an IT&T Excellence Award for industry development, because it was easier for me to look at that industry and see what was needed and create a solution for that than it was for me to figure out my computer.
What I love hearing you talk about that is how you've taken an experience that I'm sure a lot of people listening to this just feel so daunted by, of how much, I don't even know the word, courage and how much effort to overcome, and you've turned it into this positive and, like you said, perspective power. You've kind of gone on to amazing things from it, and I just think that's
Thank you. Yeah, it was not an easy thing, obviously. I've died 6 times in this life, and each time I've been returned with different uncommon abilities and astonishing perspectives. I keep getting up because it gets smelly after a while, sitting and feeling sorry for myself. So I figure, well, if I'm still not dead, oh my God, I might as well make the best of it, But I tell you what really did it for me was, I never knew if I would wake up from any of those blackouts, Hannah. And so I got to walk with death for 18 months, and we became really good mates. And he taught me how to live. And he made me re-examine all of my priorities, and taught me about the difference between urgent and important. And when you wake up in the morning and you don't know if you're going to see the end of the day, well, I got to think about, okay, what do I take to God if I die today? And hey, God, I made all this money, and I broke through the glass ceiling on all of these industries, and somehow everything that I had considered so impressive just didn't look so crash hot as the sum total of what I'd take to God. So I sat down and I thought about, okay, well, what do I want to be able to say? And I settled on, I made every life that I touched more joyful, and all life better for my being. And that's what I founded my life on. So that's why I do what I do. I mean, I bring a lot of hope and help to the world, not because of the letters I have in my name or the paper I've acquired or anything like that, but because people look at me and go, oh my God, if she can do it, I've got a chance. And they're right. They do. I teach how to experience joy regardless of circumstance. And I'm the living embodiment of how that works.
I think that death and it's something that we don't like to talk about, and And the way you phrase that of kind of walking with death for 18 months and becoming friends, I think having conversations around death or thinking about it is something that there is a lot of fear of. And I just, talking to you already, I just get this sense of you being fearless. I feel nothing would faze you at all.
Oh no, darling, that's true. I actually believe, and that fear is the gift that we give ourselves so that we can experience courage. Because without fear, without fear, courage would be completely redundant. Where would be our heroes and sheroes' journeys? Where would be the adventures if there was nothing to overcome, no challenges to rock? How long would you watch a movie where there was no suspenseful situations? But I think that fear has death has a bad rap. Having died multiple times, I can tell you it's amazing. I was really not a happy Joy after being sent back. I'm living proof that you only get to die when you're supposed to, Hannah. And I'm also living proof that death is a glorious adventure. I had the whole near-death experience before it was fashionable, with the light and all of that kind of thing. And I can tell you that light is pure, unconditional love, and I wanted with every fiber of my being to go into that and to be sent back to a body that didn't work anymore and told I wouldn't walk again at 15. I spent the next year trying to get back. Let me back in. No, you got work to do. So I've come to accept that, and I'm fine when I go, because I know, like the last time I died, I had the whole review thing, which I hadn't had in any of the other experiences, and I was very, 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 very glad that I lived the life of integrity that I've lived. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. So I think that everybody should have a near-death experience, an awareness of their mortality, to make them go, okay, so what? And in fact, that's one of the things that I do in my Creating Your Ultimate Self courses, is create that experience so that people are able to look, how am I living my life? What am I going to say at the end of it? What do I want to leave? How have I spent the last month? What did I not do that I wanted to do?
Because I think sometimes we have all these ideas of things we want to do, but in some way the time's not right. We don't have the money. We will do it when such and such thing happens.
Exactly. People assume they've got time. There's no guarantees about how long you're going to be here. People are saying, oh, he died so young, too soon. No, he just had a shorter contract, and bummer that you didn't get to do what you wanted to do, but friggin' do it next time, eh? Don't muck about. There are no guarantees.
And when we initially connected, there was a quote you referenced, I think possibly on your website, which is a quote I have written down on a piece of paper on my desk at work, which is a Helen Keller quote.
Life is a daring adventure or nothing.
Yes.
From Helen Keller. What an epic shero she is, eh? I mean, if she, blind and deaf, can think about that way, then what excuse have we got? Yeah, no, that was a shero. Wow, that was courage. I can't imagine her journey. Whew. Yeah, how are you living your life? Are you able to look at your life and go, yeah, all right, I'd be pleased to take that to God?
I think mostly.
Wow.
I think I spent a long time, and it's something I've talked about before in the podcast, kind of thinking I was okay and just kind of having these ideas of things that I wanted to do and I wanted to achieve, but I was just, I guess, too afraid to go out after them because I was worried about the big one, what other people think. And that was such a thing, such a people pleaser, that there were so many things I guess held myself back from. And I feel like now I'm actually kind of just giving life a go, trying to be a bit experimental, see what happens. And so I feel like I am starting to move more into the daring adventure, but I think there's still a lot of things that I would love to do that I maybe don't so much. But I'm pretty happy with where I'm going. But
good on you, mate. Good on you, because it's hard. I mean, we think we have to do all these things before we do anything else. And as far as what other people think, oh man, that's a tricky one. It took death for me to realize that as long as I was obsessed with what other people think, then my happiness is reliant on even the least important people in my life. And I just, I wasn't willing to cut myself short anymore. I mean, I was raised to be very concerned about what the neighbours thought, for example. We never even knew our neighbours. They lived on the other side of the fence. I think we once said hello. They didn't care one way or another what we did. But it was an enormous societal restriction placed. And so now I just go ahead and do it, and that's why I think one of the reasons I'm so inspiring and shocking to a lot of people. People either love me or they hate me because I am just completely shameless and living the life that is perfectly right for me and joyful. So yeah, I push a lot of buttons for people.
Yeah. Well, I think it can be quite shocking to people if they are very much hyper aware of what other people think and almost like buttoned up because they're presenting this perfect in what they think is perfect and not being true to themselves. And if they see someone who is just being unapologetically themselves, it could just, I guess maybe it just really throws a mirror up to them that they are not doing that, and
it irritates their demons. Exactly. But here's the thing, on the flip side of that, especially with this new generation, they long for authenticity. Their deep need is for people and experiences that are real and vulnerable. I can't tell you, I'm in the United States, and I can't tell you how often people come up to me and go, oh my God, you're so authentic. And all I can think of is, you poor bugger, who the hell are you hanging out with that this is such an issue? And a lot of it, I think, too, is being concerned about what people think and also wanting everybody to like you. But I'm going to tell you the secret of what completely cured me of wanting everybody to like me. And that is, I thought about, who would I be if everybody liked me? Who would I be if the Westboro Baptist thought I was the best thing since sliced bread? Oh, hell no, I want them picketing my funeral. And I'm not even gay. Who would you be if the Ku Klux Klan was your biggest fan? Who would you be? So I've come to understand that my job is just to shine my unique light so that the people that are supposed to be drawn to me are, and everybody else gives me a life. You can't have everybody, and you wouldn't want to. So, but if you're buttoned up behind a persona that's, oh yes, no, I already have this perfect life, then the people that are supposed to find you, how can they find you if you're not being you?
I think that's a really powerful example you gave of two groups that we can think of, and that you kind of know, like, I don't want to be liked by them because they're so different to my personal views. But something I've thought about before when I've been trying to deal with my people pleasing is this kind of fear of not being liked. But if I'm showing up somewhere and being social, but I'm not actually being myself because I'm so conscious of how other people react to me that I'm not being myself, then even if they like me, they don't actually know me. So it's just kind of not achieving what I'm trying to, because they don't know me. So even if they like me, what do they like?
Exactly. They're not actually liking you. They're liking the facade that you're presenting, and that's so sad. And so people never get to connect in delicious, juicy ways. And they small talk and chat about the weather instead. Oh God, I can't think of it. It's not possible for me now.
Well, I mean, it is quite a British thing for us to talk about the weather. It's like
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's like a cultural thing.
Yeah, I don't have that ability. I've got autistic frontal lobes, and so small talk actually makes me really super anxious. I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to say something, I want it to be transformational, preferably interesting at least, or funny, hopefully. I don't, maybe because of the transient nature of life, I want to, and because of my mission to make each life that I touch more joyful, I can't afford to waste time talking about things that aren't important. And I do know that like small talk is a way for people to be able to connect. It's not in my repertoire.
And how do people respond if maybe they're making small talk and you come in with something just much more?
Oh, I'm renowned for flirting. That's why people love me or hate me. But either way, I'm really okay with it. I'm learning to be more compassionate. I guess because I don't have a filter. If it's in my head, it comes out of my mouth. I only say what is like. Okay, so after I reprogrammed my brain, I programmed it. I decided I would program it with a foundation of joy. So what I did was in any situation, regardless of what it was, I looked for the most joyful thought, and then I latched onto it and I held onto it like grim death, and followed it until I had joy as my default. So when I approach people, and also I'm a shaman, so I didn't mean to be. I was an executive. The whole reprogramming my brain took me into a different part of my brain that turned me into a channel for divine will. I never saw that coming in a million years. And so when I'm in front of somebody, I'm normally, their guides are going, "Oh my God, quick, take advantage of the opportunity." And so invariably I'll open my mouth and go, "Have you any idea who's standing right next to you right now?" And I will start and connecting them with their guides, or telling them what it is that they need in order to be able to move forward into the next stage of their life, because I may not see that person again. And if I have a chance to touch that person in a powerful way, I'm going to take it. And even if I'm not channeling or doing anything like that, even in interactions with anybody, regardless, I've trained myself to look for what it is I like best about that person and then share that with them. And so people don't have a problem with it. And it was actually my daughter that helped me to do that. I don't know if you have kids, but they often have when they're young, have a tendency to say exactly what they think, and that might not always be. So we were out at the shop, and she was going, "Oh, Mummy, look at that person! Aren't they fat?" Okay, so I developed the compliment game, which is whenever we go out, our job is to look for what for things that we like best about people, and then tell them about it, and watch their whole demeanor change. I believe we've saved lives doing that. We've certainly made people's days. In fact, that's your joy scription. If you decide to accept it, the most fun thing you can do is for every single person in your life, whether you know them or not, look for what it is that you like about them, and tell them, "Oh, look, there's this woman coming toward me on the street right now, and she looks a bit down, but she's wearing a color that looks great. Oh my goodness, I love that color on you. It's so beautiful. It really enhances your eyes." And that person, you'll watch them go from to thank you very much. It changes people. So yeah, you can do it without being hard.
And I think it's something that we don't tend to do by just a default thing. And I think even with the people closest to us, I think sometimes we just don't give compliments or tell them what we appreciate about them, what we love about them.
Mm-hmm. And if you do, it will change your life and theirs. I actually have an ebook called No Worries Mate, which contains the de-worrying process that money back guarantees to eliminate all worry at its source. And in the part about dealing with worry in relationships, there is an exercise where if you've got somebody that's driving you crazy, to look for all of the things that person does right and focus exclusively on that for a month and just tell them. And I was working with a woman who had the most hideous teenage boy. He was smelly and disgusting and would never do a thing, and she couldn't think of a single thing that she liked about him. So I said, there must be something. Even if he just, he's always got his dishes in his room. Even if he just brings down a cup, say, "Oh, good on you. Thanks heaps for doing that. That's really great." And then don't say anything else. Don't ask for anything. Don't expect anything. Just find them. Be Sherlock Holmes and find the things that you're doing right. Tell them about it without any expectation, or that you'll play, and letting them know that you're playing the game. And watch them start to open and your relationship shift. It's glorious. It's a wonderful game. I highly recommend it for everybody.
And it's that kind of positive feedback, which is so powerful. And my background is in teaching. And I always remember a situation when I did my teacher training with a 7-year-old boy who was a really nice boy, but just a little bit chatty when they were sat on the carpet. And a couple of times I told him off for talking, and then he got to a point where he missed 5 minutes of his break time for us to have a chat about it. And I could just see that this was kind of the way it was going to go. And so I was like, I'm going to catch him doing something good and praise him. And the first time I had the opportunity, I gave him the praise, and you could just see him like straighten up and like, oh, this feels nice. And he was a dream after that. He was transformed, and he was a good kid anyway, but it was just that praise was like...
Yes, we need it, we crave it. We too often hear what's wrong with us, and not enough times do we hear what's right. And it doesn't matter what you do. If you're trying to get your husband to take the rubbish out, nagging him to do it's probably not going to cause it's just going to make him annoyed and not help your relationship. But if you're like, oh, baby, it's so sexy to me when you take the trash out, it's very manly for some reason. You watch him just leap to go and do it without being neat. Oh, thank you so much. It changes everything. And it doesn't matter who it is or what it's about. If you're an employer and you want your employees to be more effective and productive, tell them what they're doing right and watch them do more of that, because they want that good feeling that comes when people are acknowledging. People just want to be seen and acknowledged and felt like they're making a difference. When we give that to them, and it's not hard, then everything changes.
So it's the compliment game. I definitely think I'm going to have a go at.
Well, there's rules to the compliment game. It's a triple S deal. It has to be short. Don't waffle. It has to be specific. Don't generalize. And it has to be sincere. Don't bullshit. If you tell that bloke, oh my gosh, that's a lovely tie, and it's so hideous that a blind man would wince, he's not stupid. He's going to know. Find something that you genuinely like and be specific about the compliment. Because again, oh, you look lovely. That's nice, but it may or may not be true. I've learned it probably isn't, But wow, I love that because of, and this looks...
I think if you feel it's specific to you, it just feels more powerful, doesn't it? It feels like someone's really thought about it, even if it is just at something sudden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing.
And yeah, it makes all the difference. I see we're getting toward the 30-minute mark. What I want to do is offer your listeners a gift on my website, experiencejoy.com. You can remember that, experiencejoy.com. I have a 15-minute video that shows you how to relax instantly, keep a clear head no matter what's going on around you, and clear stress from your body. And the invitation is, before you start the video, measure your stress levels on a scale of 1 to 100, with 100 being, kill me now, and 0 being, I'm good. And then do the exercises in the video with me and measure your stress levels again. And when you find out just how well this works, share the tools. Everybody needs to know this.
I feel like this evening, because evening my time now, I'm going to try it. And when I record the podcast, I normally do a little talk before or afterwards. I will share with the listeners how I found it, how the numbers were.
Good on you.
Yeah, give it a go, So I have some questions I ask everyone that would be great if we can quickly try and
go
through. So my first one, obviously you are Joy.
I am Joy.
Not just in name, I feel you really embody.
No, I chose joy as a reminder of what I decided to embody because, well, frankly, Hannah, I need a lot of reminding sometimes, and it works really, really well. Every time somebody says, oh, yeah, you are joy. Okay, all right, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Joy is one of my buzzwords that I use a lot as well. So I really sort of thought about my values and what was important to me. And there are a couple that came up, and joy was one of them. And it was a new entrant at the time, because it's not really something that I'd thought about that much before. So my first question to you is, what always boosts your mood, or what brings you joy in your life?
Trees. Oh, yeah. They're my favorite beings on the whole entire planet. But it's probably not very helpful answer to your question. I was actually interviewed by Thrive and Authority magazine last year as an expert on joie de vivre, living a ravenous thirst for life. And also on my website, Experience Joy, is that interview in which I give my top tips on living with joy or living in a joyful life. There's the interview, and there's also a 5-minute video that shows you how to experience joy first thing in the morning and when stuff is hard, and all of the things. So go on over to my website and check it out. I know you want to experience joy. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah. Well, I definitely something I try and think about and try and add in.
Well, this will make it so much easier. I'd be very excited and interested to hear your thoughts on my tools that I shared.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next question is, what makes life meaningful for you?
Everything is meaningful. I just get to decide what meaning it has. I mean, every single thing we think and do and say makes a difference, has meaning. And all we get to do is decide what kind of meaning, what kind of difference. And this is why my life is centered around making each life that I touch more joyful. And that includes mine. So joy makes my life meaningful. And my favorite thing in all of the world is I love clearing trauma and stress for people, and when I see their faces and when I see it fall away, and I see who they are without the pain and the trauma, and I watch them move into the next stage of their life, and just, oh my God, it's the best thing in the whole world. And I guarantee immediate positive results with my work, or it's free. So bringing people new life, new hope, transformation. That's my favorite thing, and trees.
So one of the things that we talk about a lot on the podcast, as well as joy, is about mental wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So my question it's two questions actually. Is what does mental wellness mean to you, and how do you look after your own mental well-being?
Oh, I like that. I like your questions. I'm a collector of questions. Those are quite marvelous. What is mental wellness? Mental wellness to me means, especially with multiple brain injuries, means being in alignment with a life that is my life is a process of continual evolution toward the next grandest version of myself. So I am always perfect in my imperfections, and I assess my mental wellness by how well aligned I am with what I hold to be sacred. Yeah, I've never thought about that. Thank you. I like that question. What was the other question? How do I maintain it?
Yeah, how you look after your mental well-being.
By making really, really sure that I take fantastic care of myself. You can't run a car with no petrol in it, can you? And we've only got the one vehicle. If everybody realized they have the one vehicle, you're gonna hoon around in it in your teenage years, but you've also got to, it's got to last through the family years and the soccer mom years and the when you shouldn't be driving anymore. And so knowing that you've only got that one vehicle, you're not going to put lousy petrol in it and never take it in for a tune-up. You're going to look after it. So I do everything that I need in order to make sure that I give from the overflow, because that is how I empower every single project, every single thing that I do, and I am. I do not let myself get down, well, not often, I get myself, down to running on empty, because I've learned that that's not helpful for me or anybody else. So, yeah. And if you want to empower every circumstance, every person in your life, then that's the knack. Fill yourself with what you want to give to the world and give from the overflow. That is how I maintain my wellness.
I love that. I've never heard that phrase before, give from the overflow, but it's something we've mentioned before about that need to look after yourself, because if you are empty, you can't be there for people in the way that you want to. You can't give. So I love that idea of filling yourself up first, like you said, and giving from the overflow.
Doesn't it make some complete sense? I mean, we are trained to do the exact opposite, because that's how population is kept disempowered and under the thumb, because we're trained to give to everybody else first except ourselves. And so, okay, what do you get when you squeeze an orange, Hannah?
Juice.
Yes, what sort of juice?
Orange juice.
Yes, do you ever get pineapple juice when you squeeze an orange?
I mean, I've never had. Never.
No, me neither. What about banana juice or pickle juice? No. Why?
Because it's an orange.
Yes, and it can only give you what it's got inside of it.
Mm.
Now, when you are put in a situation and squeezed, just like the orange, you will only be able to give what you have inside of you. And if you have spent your whole life giving to everybody else except yourself, then chances are when you're in that situation and squeezed, what's going to come out might be a bit dry and even bitter.
Do you know, I love your phrases and your analogies that you use. I think they're fantastic.
Juice up. Thank you. It's been a while in the making, but I'm sharing what works for me, and really anybody, because it's common sense, which isn't very common, is it?
No, it's not. So my next question for you is, can you describe your mindset?
My mindset, what now?
Or your approach to life, your outlook?
Yeah, a continual evolution toward the next grandest version of myself. I am always finding ways to improve. Often it looks like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't realize that I was doing that. Okay. I will not waste time kicking myself. I will simply go, right, well, let's do this now, because when we know better, we do better. So, yeah, my whole, I have learned the secret to fast-tracking enlightenment. Would you like to know?
Yes, I'd love to know.
Shorten the periods of forgetfulness. Often when we fall into self-flagellation, which is just a big wank. It only just keeps yourself stuck. It doesn't do anything. Oh my God! Okay, you can shorten the periods of forgetfulness by eliminating that piece from your life and using the trigger of to, okay, all right, now I know better. Thank you. I'm back on track, and understanding that it is the behavior, not the self, that is being adjusted now. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it sounds so simple, but
all the best things are, mate. If it's complicated, man has probably got in there and started twiddling. All of my best sayings and things that I live by can all be said in 10 words or less. Most of them in 5 words or less.
I think I'll just waffle a lot on it. But so my penultimate question, one of the things, and I'm sure people listening to this have already got lots and lots of ideas from this of things that they can do to start trying to move to their next next level, if you like.
Next grandest version of themselves. Yep.
I ask guests to leave people with between 1 and 3 strategies that they can put in place in their life that are going to have a massive impact. So do you have 1 to 3 things that people can do?
I have a gazillion things, and they are all on, a lot of them are on experiencejoy.com, and including those 3 strategies that will help you to be able to relax instantly, keep a clear head and clear stress from your body. Yeah, I have so many. I've learned that nothing that happens to me matters as much as how I choose to feel about what happens. Because it is this choice that matters, because it is this choice that determines what happens next. I've learned that when I decide that life is happening for me, not to me, it does. It works out exactly that way. So the next time you're saying, why is this happening to me? Say, why is this happening for me? And then really look and see if you can see why this is happening for you. And what's the third one? Be kind to yourself first and then to others. And to remember that the very best gift that you can give every single person who loves you and who you care about is a happy you. So give yourself what you need. Give from the overflow. Remember that life is not guaranteed. You might have somebody in your life that's dying. Well, guess what? You might walk outside and be run over by a stampeding camel herd and go before they do. There are no guarantees. So live with that awareness and think about, okay, if I did die today, what would I take to God as the sum total? Or if you don't believe in God, that's fine. If I died today, how would I feel about how I've lived my life?
Thank you for those. I think they're so powerful and so
simple.
Simple, they are. Still hard to do.
I know.
Thank you so much, Joy. I've really loved speaking to you. I'm definitely going to check out your website after I've had dinner. But
experiencejoy.com. Let me know what your stress levels are before and after, Hannah. I'm looking forward to having you over there.
And so the last thing, so how can people connect with you? So obviously your website, are you on social media, or is it really just?
I am on social media. I'm not. I'm a Facebook person learning about Instagram. I am Joy White Peacock Woman. Yeah, if you want to work with me, and most of my clients have never met me. I work with people all over the world, and as I said, I guarantee immediate positive results. All the work is free, and I invite you to bring me a wish list of wishes for your health and happiness. Have a look at my private sessions page to get or the video testimonials to get an idea of what kinds of work that I do. But yeah, I'm able to see things and do things that many people can't because of, well, my strange and peculiar cartoon-like life. Come on over and have a free 15-minute wish-granting discovery session.
Amazing. And we can definitely link to your website in the show notes.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you so much. I've loved speaking to you. I feel joyful just, from
Yay!
and I know obviously you've got another podcast to get to, but thank you so much.
My privilege.
Your outlook on life, your approach, and I just think you're amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you so much for doing this, Hannah. Good on you. I hope perhaps one day you might have me back. I have lots of tools and skills to share.
Absolutely. So as promised, I'm checking back in, having done the 3-minute stress reduction video that Joy has on her website. And I have definitely felt a reduction in my stress levels. So I was about 50 before. I would say maybe I'm down to 25, 30. So I'm still conscious that I've got quite a lot of things to get done, but I do feel much more grounded and peaceful. So that's good. And I think there are definitely some takeaways that I can use. And I think one of the things I find quite difficult, and I did struggle with a little bit, is the quieting my mind and visualization type things, because I tend to have a racing mind and all of that. But there was, I won't give it away, check out the video for yourself, but there was something which is kind of a physical hack, if you like, that helps to relieve stress, which is definitely something I think should be easy for me to put in and to use if I'm starting to feel stressed. So definitely some very useful takeaways. So absolutely check out experiencejoy.com to see that video. And there's also links to Joy's ebooks and everything on there. So yeah, check that out, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode with Joy. Just a quick announcement that we have a bonus episode coming to you on Friday. So back episode 14, we did a strategy roundup of the first season, and we're going to do 2, I think, for the second season, because this is going to be a longer season. So we've had 15 episodes with this one. So Friday is just going to be a strategy roundup of the first 15 episodes, giving you those top tips in your toolbox from our guests. So if you're needing just a little boost of some ideas to try, because sometimes we hear them and then we forget about them. So that episode coming out on Friday is just going to give you those top tips from the first 15 episodes of the season. After the next 15 episodes, we will do another one. And we also have 2 episodes coming out next week. So we have a special bonus episode out on Monday as well. And you'll hear more about that when that comes out, as well as our usual Wednesday episode. We have a lot of episodes in the pipeline, which we know you're really going to enjoy when they come out. Look forward to Friday's bonus and Monday's bonus episodes, and I'll speak to you in a couple of days. Stay home, stay safe, and try and find little moments of joy in your day, because they're there. You just need to attune our mind to look for them, and hopefully this episode has really inspired you to do just that.